Hello, welcome to Spell Day. We're covering spell every single day of the year from the 5e PHP plus 3. Those 60 spells are homebrew spells. We're at plus 2 at the moment. You can head back in playlist to find them. And today's spell is Resistance. Abjuration cantrip, casting time for 1 action, range of touch, components verbal, somatic material, a miniature cloak. Duration, concentration, up to 1 minute. You touch one willing creature. Once before the spell ends, the target can re-roll a d4 and add the number rolled to one saving throw of its choice. It can roll the die before or after making the saving throw. The spell then ends. So this was not forgetting. I didn't know this spell existed. In short. Because honestly, it's not that bad. It's guidance, but for saves. I mean, it really is. It's the concentration and everything. The issue is, when it comes to guidance, that's not a combat cantrip. So likely, when you're outside of combat, you're just consistently casting that whenever it's freely available or not too obvious that you're spell casting on certain things, or if that's allowed. But essentially just giving a free d4 to people in the party. So you'd think its counterspell would be just, not counterspell, but its similar spell would be just giving a free d4 to saves in combat. No. I mean, yes, that is what by definition it's doing. But no. It's not doing that because of the things it takes up. One, it's only 1d4 against one roll, which, yeah, it's not that bad. I mean, it's following the same sense of guidance. It'd be a bit busted if you could just blanket apply to something. It'd be the equivalent of bless. But the thing was, that was outside of combat. In combat, you're likely going to be holding on to other concentration spells. Well worth it more than just a single d4 on one single save on a target. Because when it comes to that, you have to wait for that to be triggered. This would be even way more worth it if it was something like, I don't know, some kind of strike cantrip that is supposed to help with you hitting targets that, like, hey, here's an additional d4 to hit that target for a round. Still not worth it if it's concentration, but at least it's something you can guarantee comes up immediately. With a save, you can't judge when that's about to come up. I mean, you might be able to make guesses, but when you're in the middle of a fight, an abjuration cantrip, or cantrips in general, you can't sub out. Spells, you can switch what's prepared, or learned. Difficult, but you can. Well, some classes you can't. You get my point. Wizards, clerics, druids, etc., they can switch out their spells and what they're preparing that day. You can't do that with cantrips on any of those classes, which inherently makes cantrip picks way more valuable in the long term, because you have to make sure those last you the entire campaign, where other spells you can swap out. With stuff from Tasha's and such and other rulings, yes, when you level up, you can usually swap out some of these cantrips, but still, you gotta be careful about your picks here. Especially on how limited you are on how many you can have prepared at a time. But it's the thing of, if there was an immediate buff, even if it held concentration, at least you would know it would be used. When it comes to a save, I don't know, there's plenty of combats where saves just don't come up. It depends the enemy you're fighting. So you could have an entire cantrip slot that is just not used, that's combat focused. That is not used for most combats. Now yes, it could be things like dex saves and constitution saving throws for, like, traps. So there's some out of combat use for it there, but it's still against a hostile activity that you have to prep for and prepare for, which you might be able to use some other concentration spell, like some kind of bubble or dome, or you can do other things with that concentration slot. And late game, d4 on a saving throw, skill checks that you come across late game can still be, generally, things that can be relatively passable. 15s, like, it doesn't consistently, it doesn't consistently scale. In fact, during the campaign, skill check wise, you're gonna have jumps and like valleys here and there all over the place. When it comes to saves, however, those are more likely to scale because what you're fighting usually does kind of have that incline. So whereas someone brought up guidance itself can relatively stay decently powerful throughout the entire campaign or run of a character from level 1 to 20, not this resistance. That d4 will not hold up. To summarize some of it, this is not worth it. It's not. Because you're holding out and casting and using a concentration slot. It's a touch cantrip, so you already have to be next to the target. And you're using your action on this as well, and one of your few cantrips that you know. To make sure they have a d4 they can use, which they can roll ahead of the saving throw, so they can decide whether to use it that minute, which is nice. But that's still not saving this. Man, it's bad. It's preemptive spell, preemptive against one thing, or one occurrence, and holding concentration for it. And it's eating up concentration from other spells, and eating up a cantrip known slot from other cantrips. This is a 1 out of 10. Even in the few cases it's useful for, those few cases are just more of a detriment to other things you could be doing to prepare for those cases, or doing in those cases. 1 out of 10. I haven't had a 1 in a while.